Welcome to another Sales Wisdom podcast. Today with us, we have Michael Gardiner. He is founder at DFY Meetings. He's in the same space as I am, cold email and outreach. So we're going to have fun discussing these topics today. Michael, can you introduce yourself and tell us a bit more about DFY?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on, Charles. So to give a quick introduction to myself, I'm Michael. I've been building online businesses since 2015 and traveling while doing so since 2018. I currently run two businesses. I have one called DFY Meetings. We are a cold email prospecting agency. We work with agencies, software companies, consultants, really any high ticket B2B company. And also we have an education component of that called B2B Outbound, where it's essentially a course on how to do the same that we're normally selling to smaller businesses where it doesn't yet make sense to outsource for prospecting. So that's the really high level 1 minute intro.
So in 2016, you were in ties. So you bought ties, I guess, from somewhere in China. You resold them in the US. Was that the business?
That was one of the things I did. So in 2015, I started growing Instagram pages and selling like shout outs. Like I had theme pages, travel, luxury, cars, watches. I was selling shout outs, and that gave me exposure to so many business types like white label, FBA, consulting, courses, agencies, dropship. And I got interested in white label. So I was playing around and I had the idea of like selling wooden bow ties, which lasted for about a year, I think. And I ordered inventory, I did product photography. I think I about broke even on the business, but that was like a good learning experience. I was also in high school at the time. So it was, kind of learn everything when you do everything yourself.
So how old are you? I think we're the same age or similar age.
I turned 23 in January.
Okay, you're still very young. And it's odd because we have like very similar backgrounds. I was selling ties too around these years. Just that I was in high school. I was like beginning university. So I would buy stuff up on AliExpress and I would resell it on a local website in Canada called Kijiji. So I would buy these ties for like $1 and would resell them for $20 to $50. So the markups were a bit insane. And the second thing that we have in common was the luxury stuff. So I sold watches as well. And I would run Tumblr and Instagram pages posting photos of luxury cars. And that even led me to start my first official physical company, which was t-shirts, and the t-shirts would have like Instagram luxury pictures on them. It was quite dumb. And we made it like as far as like one prototype. And the last thing we have in, well, I mean, we probably have more in common. But yeah, we're both digital nomads and we're both like cold email agency owners. So the similitudes are quite crazy. But how did you started traveling? What was the motivation behind it?
Sure. So when I was 18, I was able to travel alone. And at the time, I had no interest in travel per se. But I already had like a decent enough income that going around alone wasn't an issue. And I had an opportunity to do a charity trip to India. And at the time, my parents told me no, because they didn't want me to go alone. So they said, if you could bring a friend, you could go. So I took one of my virtual assistants and I called him and I said, hey, he was in Bangladesh. I'm like, if I fly you to India, will you spend 3 weeks there with me on a charity trip? And he said yes. So I said to my parents, yeah, I have a friend who's going to go. And they were assuming like a friend from school or something, but no, it was my Bengali virtual assistant named Rafat. And we traveled around 3 weeks doing some charity work in India. And I got like the spark to travel, went back a little bit for university, but eventually dropped out and just traveled full time after that.
Yeah, we have that in common too. And I see the phone business that you had. Me, I was selling, I was buying broken iPod touches and iPhones. Sometimes I'd repair them so I would buy them like at $60 and I'd resell at like 100, $180. Like that was another of my business back in these days. Nice. But why were you attracted to traveling? Was it the desire for freedom or explore new avenues? And why India? My first trip was in Hong Kong. So I did it for, change culture drastically and have that culture shock, and it worked. And after that, I went like lighter with Europe and the full LATAM. which I fell in love with. In all senses of the word, because my wife is is Mexican. So like, why did you decided to travel that way, and also when did you get the insight that you could work from your laptop and make money all around the world?
I was working like from my laptops basically since the age of 15. So I had enough income to support travel even from like 16 years old. I just didn't have the desire to travel. So I didn't have to like adjust anything I was doing to make it work for travel. It just was really convenient. In terms of why India, it was there was a opportunity to volunteer at an orphanage that the church I'd attended was supporting, and I just decided that that sounded like a cool idea. And and I think part of the draw to travel for me is I I like speed and variety, and it keeps me like I like having things different in my life. And one of my negative sides as an entrepreneur is I like to do like 100 different things at once. And I find that when I'm moving around traveling, that craves my desire for doing different things all the time, and it helps me actually focus on one business, or in this case two, because I have variety in that. But I mean, if everything, I'm somebody who has a hard time having one. Like, I got one motorcycle, I liked it, now I have four. I got one light watch, I liked it, now I have like 70.
Mhm.
So that's just kind of a personality trait too.
Yeah, well, I have that with business, but like with objects, I'm pretty much minimalist, and I had to do it when I started traveling. And a lot of nomads, it helps them to restrain the number of objects they have, because yeah, it's just too much, travel with like 2 suitcases per person. And but for business, I find it very much of a positive things, because you go in different directions, but you dig tunnels in between each. And that's what Elon Musk has been doing in the two senses of the world, with the Boring Company, with Tesla, with SpaceX, Solar City, and so forth. He's linking the businesses together. Same thing with Twitter. He's using it as a platform to promote like all of his business. So I think it can be a positive thing. I think that it's not necessarily an ADHD thing. I think it's the mind always looking for new information, and for the mind to constantly seek out for something that can make it smarter. I've tried the focus, the deep work, and all of these things. I can do it. It's not a challenge, and I don't think it's a challenge for anyone ambitious to focus on one thing. But I found it less rewarding than running multiple businesses. Have you found out that too?
I think it's very different person to person too. I think a lot of business advice is so subjective to who you are. Like
Yeah.
for me, I find that I do the best when I do two or three things at a time, but they need to be related. More than that, my quality decreases. Like for me, my things are personal brand, which sends traffic to my course and my agency, and my course acts as a downsell as an agency. So all those things are kind of interlinked. But
Yep.
if I went and started doing something completely different, I'm very confident that it would decrease my performance. Not necessarily for
100%.
another person, but for me, I know it would.
Yeah, I agree. Things need to be related to income as well, which is the main carrot on a stick. You need to drive income quick, else like you lose motivation. And yeah, the content thing is definitely related to that. The podcast, it's free, but I've been adding some kind of funnel to follow up with my people and eventually convert them into either business partners or clients or something like that. I have masterminds too. So it's pretty much all interrelated. And yeah, you're right. Depends on your personality. But I think for any ambitious person, it's kind of boring to focus on like one thing. It's almost like too easy, although it's not, obviously, to, let's say that you focus on one business to make it $1 billion business. It's very hard. And yeah, you're right on that. Speaking about, last time you told me that you were about to move on with the cold email business. Why are you making that choice? And what's next for Michael Gardiner?
Yeah, so we just have to kind of had it in our head that we should build a business that has the potential to be sold. So it's not that we're actively looking to exit, but we've been actively building the business to be something that someone else could take over. So this is in terms of systems, processes, getting myself out of any operations, my business part of any operations, documenting the work we do, documenting the role all of our team members do, hiring funnel, essentially just building an attractive business. And the idea behind it is someone told me a business that's built to be the perfect business to sell is a business you don't want to sell, right? The one that's running without you and has all the right people and the processes is ultimately a business that you don't want to sell. So we are preparing to sell in terms of being open to it, but also as we've done that, we've enjoyed the business more and more because it's more of a real business as opposed to a scattered operation. So at some point, I do believe I'm going to exit. I would like to do, I'd like to actually do like full-time traveling for like a 3 to 4 year break and then do something else after. But I don't know exactly that time frame. It might be 6 months, it might be 3 years.
So like, is the DFY business stressful to you also, is a question I have.
I think that just my personality type, the way I like to push myself on stuff, I'm always going to be stressed. So is the business model stressful? I don't think it's more or less stressful than another agency business. I think maybe less stressful because one of the things we do is we're just one service to one customer type. It's not website design, SEO, Facebook ads, Google ads, and branding like a lot of agencies do a whole range of services. It's cold email for B2B companies, mainly agencies. So I think that makes it less stressful, but I'm personally going to put a lot of time into anything I do and push myself. I think it's a healthy level of stress, but it's not stress free. And I also think that like I would be unsatisfied if I was stress free.
Yeah. Full-time traveling is interesting. I think you're going to get bored with your personality type with the few that I know about you. We have somewhat similar personalities. I'm also like, well, I think you're a bit more introverted than I am, but I'm like at least 50% introverting, meaning that I prefer to be in my own shell in silence and work. And I only speak when I have something better to break the silence with. That being said, the 2 to 3 years traveling, I'm guessing that it's like 30K per year budget at least to fulfill your full-time travel needs.
I maybe even less. I mean, I don't spend that much money. Like in Thailand, I hardly spend anything. I own my condo, I own my bike. So I don't really have many bills. But yeah, it's not super expensive. I mean, in terms of finances, I'm already covered. It's just a matter of when is appropriate.
Okay, and do you think you could really like let go for 2 to 3 years without doing much business and full-time enjoying life?
Yes, because my personal interest for traveling is I'm very interested in less travel to countries, which are a business in their own to manage getting into visas, travel plans. Like it's equally as challenging, right? I've been inspired by like my personal goal, one of my main ones is to go to every country. I've been inspired by guys like Drew Binsky, Sal Lavallo. There's a few hours. If you look up like people been to every country, there's only a few hundred in history. There's like been more presidents than people been to every country. And the kind of traveling I want to do, I actually believe it'll be more difficult than running my business. So it's not like I want to sit in the beach in Mexico. It's more of I want to go to really hard, difficult, frustrating places and grow as a person.
North Korea, that one's on your list too?
Yeah, I can't go right now, unfortunately. Like right now, it's impossible to go to every country. Like it's literally impossible right now. So some people have to get government jobs in order to get into countries that are closed to accomplish the goal of going to every country. It's a really hard thing. I don't think I'll do it in 2 to 3 years. It'll be 50, 60 years, but I want to make some progress on it.
Is it because of the current tensions? Because when I was in Hong Kong, I had a couple of friends that traveled from the China border to North Korea.
From what I understand, it's just closed to Americans right now. Like they're not offering tours for Americans. I could be
right.
wrong, but people
Yeah.
like without getting too on a tangent, the people who have been to every country, a lot of them have to do really crazy things like get another citizenship or get a government job they don't want and work their way up to the ranks and then try to get stationed somewhere or become a fake oil consultant. So it's kind of fascinating to learn about these guys.
Wow. Interesting. And yet, like just traveling full time is a thing that 0.0001% of the population will ever get to do. So props on that project. Let's talk about cold email a little bit. What niches are you seeing this year that is hot, and what type of offer are you seeing this year that is functioning a lot with your clients or with yourself?
So I would say in terms of like hot niche, like people selling B2B, like to B2B companies, like selling to B2B companies where it's sales, consulting, technology, lead generation, like we do. It's always great. But to answer that question a little bit, maybe differently than expected, I have not had any clients who have a really specific service to a really specific niche with accompanying social proof do bad. The people I've seen do bad or don't do as well are where I do these 10 services and I either don't have a market or I have 20 different markets. Like our best clients are, like I'll make up an example here. We do Google ads for beauty spas and we have 50 case studies of beauty spas we've worked with. Those people just crush because they're just significantly better than anybody else reaching out in terms of relevance, in terms of trust, in terms of messaging. Those are the people I actively seek out to work with.
How do you find these folks?
Sure. So our client acquisition comes from two parts. We have organic and we have our own outreach. So organic is very hard to filter because it's just whatever comes in. That's why I created a course. I had a lot of people I didn't want to sell my gun for you services to because they weren't quite ready, but I wanted to sell them something and I was tired of selling an hour consulting call. So course came in. But in terms of these other people, we build specific campaigns to them. Like we have a campaign right now specifically targeting Reddit agencies to do Reddit marketing. It's a very unique service. There's not many people doing it, and I want a client who does that. We've done other campaigns targeting people who serve a focus on one industry. One way to do this is you can go to an agency directory, for example, like Clutch, and you can filter in like industry focus, like automotive or e-commerce, something like that. And then we'll target people, and in our messaging, we'll be specific. We're looking to work with someone who's selling to automotive. And then on the sales call, if somebody has automotive as one of 50 things they're doing, probably not going to sell to them. But a lot of those people will be the agencies that are very specific.
Can you also do it on Apollo by just filtering marketing and advertising and then writing in keywords automotive?
We've mainly used like directories, but
Okay.
that same concept could work on Apollo.
Okay. And for these clients of yours nowadays, what type of so let's say that you work with this Reddit marketing agency. First, like Reddit, I'm not that much of a fan. I guess like you can still make a lot of money from there. I guess they came from social and organic. I'm not like that experienced with social and organic. How much leads are you generating with that channel on a monthly basis?
So we're specifically trying to get a Reddit marketing agency as a client, but we're also trying to get a Pinterest agency and a Bing ads agency. We just go for like obscure agencies that have very specific services. So it's not like particular Reddit I'm attracted to. It's just an example of someone who's very specific or different with their offer.
And for social, your social channel, well, or SEO or organic, how much leads are you generating per month with that?
Between YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, podcast appearances, and SEO, anywhere from like 20 to 40 calls a month, sometimes a bit more.
That's pretty good. What would you say that is it like 80% YouTube? Is it like one channel that is dominant over the other, Twitter?
SEO is the highest quality of leads in terms of organic. We get random mega corporations booking in on like a once every quarter basis. Normally what happens is it's an employee who's tasked to find someone to do cold email, and then they look up cold email service and we appear on page one. That's where they come in. So SEO, most infrequent, but highest quality. In terms of breaking down those channels, in terms of volume, it would be YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, podcast appearances, Instagram, Facebook, SEO.
Okay, and for YouTube, do you have some tips for us, for myself? Do you use hashtags? Do you use like good description? Is it just plain quality content? What was your strategy to get people to listen to your videos?
So a lot of my videos are built to be searchable. Like for example, like in terms of cold email, I build a lot of videos around tools for cold email. So when you search those tools, I show up. So that's one of my strategies for getting traffic. Also, I drive a lot of traffic from other social platforms, which is a benefit when you do have followers there. And YouTube is one of those platforms that rewards you for good content. Like, I post a tweet that's good and it dies in 3 days. Same as an Instagram post. The content doesn't live. On YouTube, my highest viewed video in the last month is a video from a year ago. It's just going to keep getting views because it's ranking and being suggested. So YouTube is one of those. I think YouTube has the best algorithm, in my opinion, in terms of rewarding good content.
When did you started posting content on your YouTube?
Sporadically since like 2017 or 2018, consistently about a year.
Okay, so like the core, the bulk effect was a year ago, the cold email videos, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Before
That's
that, I was
pretty
making videos
impressive.
just for fun on kind of whatever.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Like you started, let's say, a year ago, and let's say that you generate at least 10 meetings with YouTubes. How many videos do you post on a monthly basis, approx?
I try to do around 5 to 10 and normally ends up being around 4 or 5.
Okay, and are they like sporadic? Is it like you have a hunch on something and you just start filming with Loom or Vidyard? Or is it like, do you have a strategy and a plan behind them?
I don't do too much planning. My content inspiration basically goes from questions people ask me on consulting calls, Twitter DMs, Instagram DMs to video. And I'll normally batch my videos every 30 days. For example, last Sunday, I recorded 40 days of videos. Not like 40 videos, but enough videos for 40 days.
Interesting. How many clients do you have right now?
Around 50, 35 that we're managing campaigns for, and 15 on a consulting basis.
That's pretty impressive. So let's say that you charge like 2 to 3K per month, like that's at least 100K MRR, right?
We're doing pretty well, factoring also like consulting revenue. We do have some clients we've had on for quite a while that are on lower retainers. But yeah, like we're right around the 70-ish range normally at the agency.
It's very impressive. Who would be the ideal buyer for your business?
A larger marketing agency who serves B2B companies, who wants to like our perfect buyer is a larger company that serves B2B companies who has really strong organic referrals, brand presence, and really weak outbound. Rather than building their own outbound team, they want to acquire us and have opportunities to sell our services to their clients and their services to our clients. That is our perfect buyer. The few people we've talked to who have had interest have all fit that persona exactly. I don't think anybody would buy us who doesn't own an agency. It's just an agency is not that attractive of a business model to buy in terms of if you want to be a passive owner. It's going to be another agency or at least B2B service company.
What's the lowest offer you'd accept? Let's say 2 million.
I can't quite say the lowest offer we'd accept, but if someone listening is interested, there's always an NDA and that conversation can come up.
All right. It's very impressive like that you've built all that. I'm curious also, like at 16, you were already working while I was playing Call of Duty, being very good at it, but like with zero business knowledge. Where did you get like that ambition and that motivation?
No clear place, to be fair. I grew up middle class, comfortable, loving family home, no entrepreneurs whatsoever in the family, no friends who own businesses, smart kid in school. So it wasn't like I was desperate need. No good answer. I don't fall into any of the categories. Some of the typical stories you hear, like bad family life pushed you to do it, or like struggling family, or like parents were an entrepreneur. Just cushy, middle class, loving family. And nobody in my family is entrepreneur, teachers, nurses, government positions. No idea.
Similar backgrounds we have, just that my dad's an entrepreneur, so I had that. But let me ask you that, did you listen to rap music?
Not much.
Okay, because yeah, like a lot of people derive their ambition from there, their aggression type of, which is somewhat a synonym with ambition. But yeah, regardless, nonetheless, you have a unique background, and yeah, that led you to good places. So much value on today's call. We talked about YouTube, we talked about cold email, we talked about your background, talk about traveling. I think we would need to redo that once again, maybe like once you've sold the business and you're traveling and so forth. Would like to get updates on that. Me, I'm also interested in somewhat similar plans, but maybe like, for example, crossing Canada on a bike or running or some physical type of challenge. So yeah, we'll keep each other posted. Where can people find out more about you and your company?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you want to talk to our company, we're dfymeetings.com, or if you go on YouTube and look up Michael Gardiner, you'll find my channel. And from there, there's a whole bunch of links to trainings, other socials. You can go down the rabbit hole from there.